Chris Hansen with To Catch a Predator.
Who wouldn't want to visit Flagler Beach?
This Breckinridge County Sheriff's deputy is telling his side of the story.
Why he thinks he was fired 13 years after a To Catch a Predator sting.
What do you want to say to people in the community who are outraged to hear that you were even an officer?
They didn't come to me to talk to me, ask me the true story.
What happened 13 years ago is coming to light now.
Okay, what's your name? Anthony. Okay, quit shaking and just try to relax. I just got a couple of questions that I'm going to ask you. A lot of it's just for some paperwork and stuff like that. Have you ever been arrested before? No? Okay.
33-year-old Anthony Phillips started working as a Breckinridge County Sheriff's deputy last November after working for years at the Breckinridge County Detention Center. But his career at the sheriff's office didn't last long. Nobody would answer our questions, so WDRB used open records to get more information about Phillips, and this is what we uncovered in his personnel file. Among the more than 40 pages of information is a letter Breckinridge County Sheriff Todd Pate wrote to Phillips saying he's fired effective May 4th. Phillips was able to pick up his last paycheck 2 days later. It doesn't say why he was fired, but WDRB found court records that may shed some light. Phillips was arrested in Flagler Beach, Florida in 2006 for a number of charges, including a felony for lewd or lascivious conduct, computer pornography, and child exploitation. He was 21 years old at the time. Breckinridge County Chief Deputy Bruce Anthony says his office found out about a To Catch a Predator police sting in which Phillips was arrested for trying to have sex with a teenage girl.
And that's what I'm getting at. Had it actually been a 14-year-old girl, you would have had sex with her. The situation was there. You drove 2 hours. Basically, you brought a condom with you, basically to have sex with her. You intended to have sex with her. Don't you think that's a little young?
The Flagler County Clerk's Office says Phillips pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanors of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Anthony says his office called Florida officials to check on the case and says the misdemeanors would not have stopped Phillips from working with the department because they aren't felonies. But in Phillips' termination letter, Sheriff Pate writes, based on information revealed in your polygraph exam and interview at the academy that you failed to disclose in your interview, I do not feel that I can continue your employment. Adding, my decision to terminate your employment has been very difficult to make. We asked the sheriff's office for details on the polygraph and academy interview, but Anthony says he can't comment and that the sheriff's office is trying to move on. Sheriff Todd Pate told WDRB News he can't reveal when he learned about the Florida charges, but says at the time he worked here, he was a loyal and dedicated employee. Pate recently returned to the office after a second DUI arrest in 5 years and also isn't commenting on that. Pate is expected to be arraigned next week.
Phillips could not be reached for comment. Valerie Chin, WDRB News.
Fired Breckinridge County Sheriff's deputy is telling his side of the story.
Why he thinks he was fired 13 years after a To Catch a Predator sting.
What do you want to say to people in the community who are outraged to hear that you were even an officer?
They didn't come to me to talk to me, ask me the true story.
What happened 13 years ago is coming to light now.
And you chat online with a 14-year-old and drive 2 hours to have sex with her? Dude, what were you thinking?
I have no idea.
Did you?
Recently been saved. I've been forgiven for everything I've done, so I don't have regrets.
Former Breckinridge County Sheriff's Deputy Anthony Phillips sits down with WDRB and speaks openly about his 2006 arrest in Flagler Beach, Florida, when he was 21 years old.
And after one day of chatting, decided to drive 2 hours to have sex with her. Okay.
What regrets do you have about acknowledging that you were going to meet up with a 14-year-old?
I wasn't until I was convinced to, but I wasn't going to meet up with a 14-year-old because the person I was talking to on the phone, I believe, came out to be 30s or 40s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and the actual picture they had was someone in their 20s.
Phillips was caught during a To Catch a Predator sting. His original felony charges all dropped.
That all I got out of it was a little bit of probation, and I moved on with my life.
But why did you plead guilty, though, to 2 misdemeanors?
That's what I needed to do.
The sheriff's office saying the 2 misdemeanors didn't prohibit him from becoming a deputy. But after 6 months on the job, Sheriff Todd Pate fired him.
Why do you think you were fired now, then?
The true reason? I would say because, and some of these words are actually from the chief deputy's mouth, not mine, but combination of both. Because of the situation the sheriff is in already, and the scrutiny that the department was already under.
Pate is expected to be arraigned this week for a second DUI in less than 5 years. The termination letter says, based on information revealed in your polygraph exam and interview at the academy that you failed to disclose in your interview, I do not feel that I can continue your employment.
What did you not tell them?
Well, first off, I want to clarify that I did not fail the polygraph. It was not because I failed, it was because I was truthful about a situation that is personal in nature, and I don't want to put that out there. But it is not, it is from a childhood thing.
Phillips says the sheriff's office knew from the beginning about his arrest and recruited him to work there.
When I was withdrawn from the academy due to someone else, I guess you could call it blackmail or extortion or whatever you may want to call it, towards the department. I guess they believed this wouldn't come out if they did what the person was telling them they wanted them to do by getting rid of me.
Pate telling WDRB that Phillips' firing had nothing to do with his own situation or anyone telling him to fire Phillips. Phillips had worked for the jail for 6 years. He's now moving on with his life, saying he has support from his family and church.
I've gotten to peace with what happened.
Pate says he's still looking to hire another deputy.
That is just gonna mess me up.
You can't walk away from the crime, no matter what you say. Fuck crime.